Imagine a golden haze rolling across the sun-baked fields of the American South. As the light fades and the crickets begin their nightly chorus, something stirs in the brush. At first glance, you might think it's cattle or deer, but what emerges from the shadows is far more destructive. Wild boars. Clumsy? Not even close. These animals are fast, cunning, and disturbingly intelligent. And they're not native to the U.S. They weren't supposed to be here in the first place. So how did they get here? And how do Americans stop a four-legged menace that costs billions in damage every year? Let's step into the high-stakes world of wild boar trapping, a hidden front line in one of the country's most aggressive wildlife battles. Wild boars first arrived in North America in the 1500s, brought by European explorers as livestock. Some escaped into the wild. Others were released intentionally for hunting. Over centuries, they adapted and interbred with domestic pigs, creating a new hybrid species, feral hogs. These weren't just pigs anymore. They were survivors, thriving. In forests, swamps, and farmland, they multiplied with astonishing speed. By 2023, their numbers had exploded to over 8.3 million across 39 U.S. states. What started as a handful of animals on wooden ships has become one of the most damaging biological invasions in North American history. They now rank among the top 100 worst invasive species on the planet. These animals aren't just a nuisance. They're a full-blown threat. They bulldoze crops, rip up sports fields, compete with native wildlife, and destroy sensitive habitats. They spread disease to domestic pigs and even pose a threat to people. Feral hogs have attacked humans more than 100 times since 1825. Each year, their rampage costs the U.S. an estimated $2.5 billion in agricultural damage, infrastructure repair, and disease management. That's why in most states, wild boars can be trapped and removed year-round without restriction. This isn't just pest control, it's protection. But catching one of the smartest animals on the continent, that's another story. It all begins with scouting. Wild boars prefer low, wet terrain, creek beds, forest edges, marshes, and anywhere food and water are abundant. Expert trappers look for three major signs: narrow, worn trails weaving through brush, deep hoof prints near muddy areas, and soil turned over like a rototiller when through evidence of boars rooting for food. Choosing the right location is everything. It needs to be remote enough to avoid human disruption, but still accessible for equipment, traps, and, eventually, removal of live animals. Access paths for trucks or ATVs are essential. Once the perfect spot is chosen, trappers don't immediately set the trap. First, they bait the area. Wild boars are omnivores, but they love fermented corn, molasses, spoiled fruit, and anything with a strong, sweet smell. For 1 to 2 weeks, trappers scatter bait daily to attract the herd. But here's the tricky part: humans have to stay completely out of sight. Too much human scent, and the pigs vanish. No bait, and they wander off anyway. The solution? Technology. Remote trail cameras with night vision stream footage straight to the trapper's phone or laptop. This lets them monitor pig behavior and refill bait at optimal times without being seen. Once the boars begin visiting regularly, typically for 3 consecutive nights, it's time to build the trap. The trap is set in the exact spot where baiting has conditioned the pigs to feel safe. Depending on the number of pigs, trappers choose between smaller box traps for singles or pairs and larger corral or silo traps for entire herds. The walls must be over 5 feet tall. These animals can jump higher than you'd think, and they're strong enough to break through flimsy fencing. So traps are built tough, with buried support and reinforced steel panels. But the trap isn't armed right. Away. For the first few days, the door stays open. Pigs come and go freely, growing more comfortable with the structure. The goal is to trap the entire herd in one go, not just a few stragglers. Once the camera confirms consistent feeding behavior, the trap is armed. A final trail of bait leads deeper inside. The trigger is usually a pressure plate or tripwire, but in more advanced traps, it's remote controlled. That means a trapper watching live video from home can drop the gate the second all pigs are inside. And when that gate falls, chaos erupts. Panic sets in instantly. Dozens of pigs slam against the steel walls, shrieking and charging in every direction. But the structure holds. It's designed for this exact moment, deeply buried to prevent digging, tightly sealed to prevent climbing, and strong enough to withstand hundreds of pounds of pressure. Some state-of-the-art traps, like the $75,000 smart traps used in Texas, can catch up to 50 pigs in a single drop. One click, and boom, the problem is contained. But the job isn't done yet. Most trappers euthanize the animals on site with precise, humane shots. The most effective placement is just above the eyes toward the spine, or behind the ear toward the opposite eye. Wild boars carry more than 30 dangerous pathogens and over 35 parasites, so handling them without gloves is not an option. Some trappers process the meat themselves, while others send it to certified facilities like Broken Arrow Ranch in Texas, which handles up to 1,700 wild pigs each year. Meat from younger pigs is preferred, between 80 to 180 pounds. Older boars tend to have a musky smell due to testosterone, making them less desirable for consumption. But catching one group isn't enough. These animals breed at alarming rates, 2 litters per year, with 4 to 12 piglets each time. Males can weigh over 400 pounds and sprint up to 25 miles per hour. Even when injured, they often escape, only to return stronger and warier. In the Great Smoky Mountains alone, over 15,000 wild pigs have been removed in recent years. Still, the population continues to grow. Texas remains the epicenter of the crisis, with over 2 million feral hogs wreaking havoc across the state. In one incident in 2022, just 6 hogs tore through a Texas farm overnight, destroying 2,000 pounds of produce in a matter of hours, and the damage goes far beyond farmland. Wild boars have destroyed golf courses, school sports fields, and even wildlife preserves. They devour bird eggs, turtles, and endangered species like the gopher tortoise. Their competition for food and territory puts native animals at risk. And despite their bad eyesight, they're smart enough to remember where danger lurks. They learn from every encounter, adapting their behavior to avoid traps and humans.
If you'll enjoy this video, please like and subscribe my channel for more information.